I'm Sue Foley. I'm a blues guitar player, and now I'm an author. And you're listening to Talking Blues.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
I saw you 2 months ago. In fact, 2 months ago today. So, in the last 2 months, you've been touring a lot. You've released a book. You've done tons of things in the last 2 months. You must be exhausted.
Yeah, I'm not that exhausted. I just got back from we've been touring steadily, and now the book is out, so we'll have some stuff to do around that, and that's a whole new world for me. So, not even sure what I'm into as far as that goes. So, but everything, I feel great. I feel great.
So I saw you 2 months ago. You just recently played Chicago Blues Fest.
Hmm.
You did a tour with Cindy Cashdollar and Rory Block,
Right.
the Guitar Women.
Yeah.
You did the New Orleans Jazz Fest.
Yep.
You've been busy. Are you as busy as you want to be at this point?
Uh, Probably because besides touring, there's a lot to being a lot more to being a musician or a professional musician than there ever was. So, I mean, I feel like I have a full-time day job and then I get to play music as a bonus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke, which was March or February of 2017,
Wow.
and so it was episode 42. We're basically over 500 now, so it's been a while.
Wow. Oh my God.
But at that point, we basically went through. So if anybody's interested in Sue's career, how she got into music, and up to that point in 2017, go listen to episode 41. But at that point, you had already started working on this book. In fact, you've been working on this book for a long time. You were at a point where you weren't frustrated, but you had to get back to the book, and you weren't really sure which way it was going to go at that point.
Yeah.
If we start, can you tell me how this whole thing started?
Well, it started with just a little burst of an idea that I was doing an interview. I was being interviewed by a journalist, Don Wilcock, actually, and then he mentioned out of the blue that he had written a book about Buddy Guy, and then I just sort of burst out, "Hey, you should write a book about women guitar players." I guess it was on my mind, and I can't remember why, but I was like, you should write a book about women guitar players, and I just started listing names. I was like, right off the top of my head, I was like, yeah, Bonnie Raitt, Nancy Wilson, Ellen McElwain, and I started just, you know, I realized, and then later on, I thought about it, and I thought, well, it's a great idea, and surely somebody has done it. It's such an easy thing to do, and I looked it up, and nobody had done it, and then I was like, oh. And then I started just looking for literature on women guitar players, just random encyclopedias. At the time, this was 2001, so even the stuff that was available on the internet wasn't quite up to speed. So I was looking in music stores and libraries. And I wasn't finding anything that really tied the story together the way I wanted to see the story. And so then I thought, well, maybe I could just talk to some people and do some interviews, and that's how I started. And I just started cold calling people in a way, reaching out by email. I didn't have a manager or anything. It was just kind of personal, just kind of trying to reach out to people through their websites or connect with them and say, hey, would you talk to me about this? And I'm a player. And what I found is I talked to some extraordinary musicians, and I found that there was so much support for it. That they wanted the story to be told too. That they knew it was unique, and they were unique, and you know what I mean. So it was just.
Hmm.
So I knew I had something, and I just kept interviewing for a number of years, and then I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to put it together. I had amassed a ton of stuff like interviews and then historical stuff. And I mean, I just had a big pile of data, and it was all in like weird. I'm not very good at organizing and file. You know, filing is not my thing. I'm a guitar player, you know. So, and writing isn't really my thing. I like to write songs, but I don't really write prose, you know. And I didn't go to school for any of that. So I got very overwhelmed very many times. I talk about this in the introduction of the book a little bit. I touch on it that it took a long time. I mean, in a way it shouldn't take 25 years to do this sort of book. You wouldn't think, oh, why did this take 25 years? You could do this, in 6 months, but it took me that long. I just didn't know what I was doing.
Can I ask you, when you first started? I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but tell me what you were hoping to achieve. What were you looking for in talking to these people?
Well, I was looking, well, first of all, and the reason why I called it Conversations and Life Lessons with Six String Heroines is because for me that I was looking for guidance in some ways, like um, in my own life. So talking to people like, what, like, how do you do this? How are you doing this? How is it for you? And at the time I was home with a young child, and my son was a toddler, and I had shifted gears in my life, and I was feeling a little out of place in that role. Not as a mother per se, but just just I
Not
was just
touring.
kind of doing a different thing. And I was like, how do you guys do this? And so it wasn't just about the parenthood thing, but then about just sustaining a career and playing, and how you manage any of the awkwardness, or if there was awkwardness, or just what their stories were. I was really just hoping to get answers about my own life in a lot of ways.
I have to say, having read the whole book, and initially I got the book and I thought, I'm going to just check out a few and then I'll have enough material to talk to you about. I couldn't put the book down. I just thought it was really good.
Oh, good. Oh my
And
God. So
and you said you're not a writer, but I loved your introductions. Like your introductions to each of the interviews, I thought were brilliant. Just because it put you in context of the whole thing, and you revealed a little bit about yourself in many of the introductions, and I just thought it was really well written.
wow. Well, thank you. I haven't. You're one of the first people I've gotten any feedback from, Mako. So I've put
It
this
must be
out.
weird.
I have put this out here with, like just hoping and praying that people just don't pick me apart as a writer, because I'm not a writer. I never trained to be a writer. So, um,
I loved your writing. I
well,
really did. I thought it was great, and I love the choices. I presume that you probably, how many people did you interview in total? Can
in
you reveal
total,
that?
over 100.
And it must have been difficult to make the final selection.
Yeah, and I didn't do that selection. I left that to the publishers. They at Sutherland House in Toronto, I just gave them, said, this is what I've done, this is what I've got, read this, and then they sort of handpicked the interviews they wanted. And as it turns out, I think they picked a good bunch, because they're sort of this is a very much a trajectory of what you're seeing in the how women's how women in guitar have evolved, the evolution, let's say, of women in guitar. You're
Right.
looking at people from it's almost a timeline, people who really broke through the molds, and I think I call these the trailblazers, really.
When I first opened the book, I didn't look at the index. I just started reading it, and I loved chapter one, or the first artist, because I just came out of nowhere. So the fact that you chose Charo was, I thought, brilliant, and also the other people. I mean, some of the people I had no idea about, but what they brought to the book and the story was amazing. Especially the classical guitarist Isbin Sharon.
Sharon Isbin.
What was the name?
Sharon Isbin.
Yeah, like Sharon Isbin, I knew nothing about. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And in fact, everybody was amazing. Tell me, I mean, I'm sure when I interview people, I get a lot out of it. And tell me who might have surprised you a bit when you approached them.
Ooh, a lot. I mean, everybody surprised me a little bit. Sharon Isbin surprised me that she would even talk to me. Like, cause she's one of my first interviews, and I thought, wow, somebody of her caliber would actually talk to me. Like just somebody cold calling her out of the blue. So that surprised me. Carol Kay really blew my mind.
Yeah,
Really blew my mind. Yeah, she was so candid and forthright and open about things she'd been through, and I thought that was really pretty wild. Ellen McElwain as well, very candid,
right.
very stark, very open-hearted and revealing her vulnerabilities, I guess. But yeah, I got a little something. I got something out of everybody for sure.
Were you concerned about how much you wanted to reveal about yourself in this book?
Well, that's one of the reasons why it took me so long was that basically what happened is I had gotten all the interviews together and I drafted the book a couple of times from different perspectives and different ways, and it still wasn't gelling. It just wasn't gelling. I was like, why is this? And I kept asking myself this question: why is this important? Like, like, why is this important? What? How are you going to sell this book? And why is it important? And why is this way to present it important? Just as an interview, anybody can do this. You could do this in a week by collecting interviews online and throw it together, and there you go. So the only thing that made it important was that it was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, if it's important to you, why is it important to you? Then you have to include yourself in the mix without, and I didn't really want to have to do, that was the last thing I wanted to do was actually have to write about myself. So I went and I actually took, I actually got a coach, a writing coach, and, the whole thing. So I could start writing sort of my memoirs to insert without making it me centric, but actually time, like you said, it gives it context. Otherwise, there's no context,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's important. Like this person is important because they're important to me, and because they're important to me because at that time in my life, they had this effect on me or something. So that's kind of what I was trying to share.
It's interesting because there is no one right answer. And obviously, you found that with talking to all these different people. And some people, the fact that they were women guitar players was a big deal. To some, it didn't seem like it was a big deal. And big deal is probably not the right word for it.
Yeah.
But some people were more focused on it, and other people didn't really think about it at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it is what they do. Were you surprised by that?
Definitely. Yes. And I talked about that in the intro that I was trying to find this thing and say, well, here's your woman guitar player. Here's how we are. We're all like this. And then I was like, yeah, nobody's the same. Nobody's the same. The stories are all different. Some people have been challenged,
There
and
were a lot
others
of
have.
tomboys.
There was a lot of tomboys, but not all tomboys.
No.
No.
It was such an interesting selection of people. And obviously, that's what makes it work better, is the fact that it was classical music, it was flamenco, it was rock, it was blues. Was there anybody you wanted to get that you didn't get?
Yes. Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell. I think
Yes.
I reached out to Joan Jett too, and I just was not able to tie in with her management. Joni Mitchell would have been big because she's really, really, really cool. Very good guitar player, and I had no idea how to reach her. I just didn't have any idea. And I thought she would shun a project that pigeonholed her in any way, especially as a female. So
Hmm.
I was a little intimidated. So
But she's certainly one of the greatest guitar players,
she is.
male or female,
Yes.
and certainly one of the greatest songwriters.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself through this process?
I learned, and I talk about this a couple of times. Well, I talk about it at least once with relation to my interview with Susan Tedeschi is that a lot of times I think we are in a competitive industry, and we think that people have something on us that you know what I mean? You're always
Hmm.
worried that somebody's going to get something on you, or beat you to something, or get a better thing than you. There's always this yardstick. And what I found through the interview process in general, and it wasn't just with this particular group of interviews, but with several that I had of women who were almost my competitors, or that I perceived as my competitors, that by talking to them and learning about their journey, it opened up an entirely new perspective, and it dissipated that competitive insecurity, and opened up just more of a compassion for them, because I'm like, well, you're going, you've been through that. Oh my God, like, and hearing what their struggles were. I think for me, that was the biggest thing, is that it just, it took all that away. It's just like dissipated it. And, and that was really powerful.
That it was a great interview. It was also, I mean, that was certainly one of the interviews that I thought you reviewed yourself more than in some of the other interviews. Maybe because you knew each other somewhat, but you seemed to be very open about who you were in that interview,
Right.
and the fact that you talked about the envy and thinking about somebody might have done better or whatever, which is a pretty amazing thing to reveal. But it makes sense. And then the other thing that comes across in this book is the fact that everybody's so busy doing their own thing, it's hard to know what other people are doing or thinking.
Yeah.
And then when you sit down and talk to them, you find that connection.
Yeah, and what I did find, now, this the scene has changed a lot since I started interviewing. But what I also found was that we all thought we were the only ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You feel like you're the only one, and you're the only, and then you realize, oh, there's all these other people going around doing the same thing that you're doing, with very similar mindsets, but you never run into each other, so you don't really know about each other. So you still feel isolated, and that's another thing I did get from this, is that feeling of isolation dissipating. That, oh yeah, there's this whole community around us.
But what you do in writing a book like this, it's a very solitary thing, isn't it? Other than the interviews, is the actual act of writing and putting it together is somewhat isolating, I would imagine.
Very much so, yes. Writing is lonely. Writing is lonely.
And how do you compare that to the process of recording an album, which you've done many times, and I know you're comfortable with it, but in both cases, you're creating something, and before it gets revealed to the public, you're living with it, and you don't know how it's going to be received.
It's similar. It's similar. Like, I've got that feeling right now. So it's so nice of you to say that you like the book, because I haven't gotten any feedback hardly at all yet. So, and when you put out an album, it's the same thing. You think it's great, and you're like, you're proud of it. And then you're like, uh-oh, what if they don't like it? What if they make fun of it? What if they mock me? I have a little more insecurity around the book, because, like I said, I'm not a writer. So I was very, and English was my worst subject. Worst. I was horrible. Horrible. Okay? I was horrible. I barely passed English, and that gave me a lot. That really hung me up mentally on this, was just imagining that I could call myself a writer. That hung me up for years, like,
Wow.
petrified me. That because there's that other voice in your head that goes, Sue, you barely could get through English class. You are not a writer, like. So there's that voice going, and then there's this other voice going, well, you got something here that's good, just keep going. So I did all that, for years. There was a lot of personal torment involved.
So yesterday the book came out officially.
Hmm.
How does it feel to you right now?
It feels that good. It feels a little surreal. Um, so I'm just kind of waiting till we get a little bit more feedback, and but I enjoy talking about it, and I'm really happy to hear that you liked it. Really, really happy. Really
I
happy.
loved it.
Ah, well, that I'm thrilled. You seem like a smart person who reads books, so I'm like, okay, well, if he likes it, that seems pretty good.
You've been interviewed many, many, many times. Did you use that education or that experience to interview others? Was it easy for you to interview people? Because I also loved your interviews. I thought they were really well researched, and I thought it was really interesting the way you approached some of the interviews.
Well, good, because I didn't know what I was doing, and what I did find is that I could find common ground, first of all, somewhere. So I would always I would always do my research and then try to find some things that legitimately interested me about them. But once they got on a thread, I like to listen. I'm a good listener, so I would sort of let them lead because I feel like they knew what they wanted to. They knew where they wanted to go with these for the most part. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an investigative journalist where I would be like, now I look back and I would think, oh, if I had a little more, I would ask them about this. You know, I would go deeper into
Right.
this thing because there was something there, but I wasn't really probing. I was more just listening.
Does this experience change you as a musician?
Um, I don't know if it changes me as a musician. No, no. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think as a player, but as a person, definitely. As a person.
In what way?
It just, I think it just opened me up. It definitely gave me confidence this whole journey, like to be able to do a project like this and actually complete it and finish it, see it through to from beginning concept all the way to the end and hang with it through the years of. I mean, there was a decade probably where I didn't even touch it, you know, a whole decade. And then it was in my head though, and it was bothering me. Like, Sue, you need to deal with that. That's sitting there, you know. Like, those were some good talks you had. And so I think just finishing it has really helped my confidence.
Is there a chance that there would be a second part to this?
There is a chance because I think there's a lot of good stuff left. I mean, I have probably over 80 more interviews that are sitting there, and there's equally some really great stuff in there. Really great stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's a great book. I really did enjoy it. It's called Guitar Women. You can get it from, I guess, your website and all the major book retailers.
Basically, it's Sutherland House Publishing out of Toronto, and they also it's also available on their website. And I think there is a link on my website, SueFoley.com. So if you can't source the book, one of those avenues should work.
Do you have expectations? Like, I don't know if you do when you record an album of what you hope to achieve with it, but do you have an expectation for what this book should do?
I don't know. Like I just hope it inspires people, and I really hope it. I hope people read it who just don't even know about guitar, but just want to know about interesting people. You know, like that would be a good. It's not just for guitar players or music people. It's a book about a certain type of individual and how they managed through this landscape, really, and different ways to do
Mm-hmm.
it, and different ways to have a life in the music business. You know, so I think there's some really good advice there, at this, especially for women in the music business too, who are like, what if I want to have children, you know, or what if I don't want to have children? What will my life be like? Or should I be married? Shouldn't I not be married? Or how do I manage you know what I mean? What kind of
Yeah.
relationships actually work in this business um, from different perspectives? I mean, so I think, or how, you know, those are the types of questions I sort of had on my mind. So hopefully that will help other people figure that out.
Well, as I said, I think it's a great book, and thank you for sharing it with us. I really appreciate It's great seeing you again. I know you have to go on to your next interview, so I'll let you go. But thanks again. It was great seeing you at the Alma Combo. It's great seeing you today.
It's fabulous to see you, Mako, and thank you so much. And thank you for saying that about the book. It's so nice to hear.
It's wonderful.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.